What is up, ladies and gents, and welcome to today's video where it's going to be a premiere that's going to be a bit longer. Now, I want to make this again one of those unedited videos purely because I want to keep this as real as possible and also that you guys understand what is going through my head. And the topic of today, I don't know why, but this was recommended to me and it only came out approximately like 10 days ago, like 2 weeks ago, which is a Vice documentary about South Korea's untouchable families. Now, I have no idea what this topic is going to be about, but I can already imagine why or the direction they want to go to, let's say it like that. And for me, I really want to have a look at this because I always thought that this was more or less fascinating. Maybe there's information in here that I have, or I was just barely never aware of, even though it's most likely very accessible information. For the people who are interested, for the last couple of years, I've been working with Korean agencies. I have built myself up a little bit of an interest working with Koreans. I tend to really enjoy it because it's a little bit of a hectic matter, but at the same time, it's a very fun environment. Working with Korean people is just really fun. And I'm not going to say that I'm a power source of information on the culture of Korea. Don't get me wrong, I am not that. But I did hear a lot of stories concerning how, based on this topic, untouchable families is true. I've heard enough of stories from within the companies, also external sources, where some people in Korea are literally untouchable. So I would just say, let's go watch the video. Let me see if I actually have it set up. I do not have it set up. How embarrassing is that? Let's actually get this onto the screen really quick. And I would just say, let's watch it together and see what we can learn about it. Again, for me, this is also just a bit of a learning channel, where we want to see a little bit more about the Korean culture. And also, maybe it explains why the K pop world is the way it is, why it is sometimes as harsh as it is. But I would just say, we're only going to find out by watching this video. It's going to be around 30 minutes, if not mistaken. With my commentary, it could be a little bit longer. So make sure to get yourself a drink, make sure to get yourself something nice to eat. And I would just say, let's go. And I hope you enjoy this weekend's special, because to me this topic is very, very interesting. It's I always wanted to, learn as much as possible from this.
Korean Air's vice president for cabin service, and wait for it, daughter of the airline's chairman, Ms. Cho forced the plane.
Oh wait, you don't even see it. Oh my God, there we go. Let's go back. Oh man, this is quite an embarrassing little stream. But I was thinking, why can't you see it?
Korean Air's vice president for cabin service, and wait for it, daughter of the airline's chairman, Ms. Cho forced the plane to return to the gate where she had the head of the cabin crew kicked off. She was served.
Oh my God, this story, this is not even a joke. So, when I was studying at university, we have aviation, aka everything to do with airlines, with building up airports, blah, 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 blah. I didn't study it, so I'm not an expert. But when this happened, this was a true story. Can you just imagine that it's actually starting with something that, again, I was completely like, no way, that cannot be.
Macadamia
But
nuts
yeah.
in a bag instead of on a plate. And after the story sparked outrage throughout South Korea and much of the world, she resigned some of her duties, though she's apparently keeping her title at Korean Air.
우리나라가 어느 순간부터 보면
It's really just a crazy phenomenon. It's the most craziest element that I've heard, that things like this can happen in Korea, but it shows that there are people in the city, or at least in the country, that have a lot and a tremendous amount of power, and they, again, you will not even see them. They could walk amongst you, but they're there. It's quite a scary phenomenon.
결국은
And it's not even a phenomenon, it's real.
재벌 왕국으로 완전히 바뀌어버려요. 대규모 기업 집단, 즉 국가 경제에서 차지하는 비중이 아주 큰 기업 집단이고, 그리고 이 대규모 기업 집단이 특정 가문에 의해서 지배.
Hanwha. I'm trying to think of the companies, but so this is, I can't think of it, but one sec. You'll see this tower. So this is the Lotte Tower, which is basically a glommer. I don't even know the word, but in other words, you're a massive, massive company that basically owns a lot. And this is owned by this tower. Oh, sorry, they own this tower, for example. I don't know what they do, but when you're in Korea, you really know that these names stand out. They are known to be put everywhere. You will not forget these names really quick, I mean, Lotte is literally everywhere.
우리랑은 전혀 다른 세계의 사람들이에요. 저 가문에서 태어나지 않는 이상 올라갈 수 없어요.
That's logically, family always stays within family, huh? Kind of cool. I was also up here. So I traveled to Korea. I went here. Kind of cool to see, Seoul from the top. It's quite pretty, if I can say so.
권력을 가지고 있다. 누구도 자기를 건드릴 수 없다 하는 인식들이 널리 지금 보편적으로 자리 잡아 버린 거예요.
Who are you, man? Give me your story. I don't know what chaebols actually are, but I can imagine that's basically the people that are just unstoppable. You know, the people that are working for within these companies, and they just own it. Let's say it like that. It's quite remarkable actually to see these people in real as well. I remember when I don't even know what it was, but either it was the president of Kia or it was the president of Hyundai. I don't remember what, but when I was working there, the entire company, and this is not even a joke, the entire company was turned upside down to make sure it was perfect. Like there was all of a sudden information to say, hey, the chairman is coming, aka the biggest guy within the company, and then no joke, all of a sudden everything had to be renovated, everything had to look spot on. Like it was just insane how much attention was put to the company to make sure that it was spot on. Even though I thought already, holy crap, how can you make it more exclusive than what it already is? Because the offices were really, really beautiful. And I really enjoyed Korea. I would love to go back there again. Okay, taxi companies.
특별하게 뭐 가진 것도 없고 그래서 이 스물 한 5살 이때서부터 택시 운전을 하다가 그다음에 유미 엄마하고 결혼해갖고 그 유미를 낳게 되었어요. 이제 그 아이 아빠가 되었다는 자부심이 아주 강하게 가져져서.
A lot of Koreans have a lot of pride, and that's something that I just enjoy. When they do something, they do it with a lot of attention, at least to the attention where it still looks good. It doesn't have to be perfect, but they put a lot of their body into what they do, which is really nice. They're full of pride. Korea is full of pride, which is also very nice. But who is Yumi?
내가 우리 집 형편이 그때 아주 좋지를 않아서 이 택시 운전을 하니까는 돈벌이도 많이 하는 편이 아니라서 이 사는 저 대학교는 갈 형편이 안 되고 그 무렵에 삼성에서 학교로다가 이 공부 잘하는 말 잘 듣는 애들을 보내달라고 하는 그런 이 부탁이 왔었던 것 같았어요.
And the reason most likely why they bring up the name Samsung is because back when, I don't remember the years to be honest, but before, I heard like 40 years ago, and again, I didn't read it in books, I just know it from stories, but 40 years ago, Samsung was basically, Korea was basically literally a shithole. Like there was nothing there. They even claimed to be more or less like to be like a third world country after the war. But after that, these families, you got Samsung, LG, Lotte, Hyundai, they were basically building up the country, and this is why they have so much power. I mean, if you go to Korea, literally, you'll find LG everywhere. You'll know that Samsung owns a lot of commercial buildings. Like he already says, even schools, get influenced by a company. Samsung is not just the telephone brand that it's actually much more than that. And that is actually quite scary because, again, we only see part of it. But again, if you go to Korea, you know that LG, Samsung, all of these companies are completely different. Someone, when I worked at Kia, he basically explained to me, and I will never forget this. Back then, and this is why these companies are actually the biggest in Korea, Hyundai was more or less responsible for all the construction everywhere. In other words, the buildings, the schooling, the roads, the infrastructure to make sure that everything was built, while Samsung was making sure that all the electronics were working. And together they were able to rebuild Korea. Really intense of a story. This is very simplified. And of course, the other companies also had something to do with it because, like they already said, there are like 10 companies or so that really own Korea. That could be it. But what I want to say is that there is a reason behind it, and it shows how much power they really had as families, which is just mind-blowing. Reminds me a little bit of, an imperial type of situation.
자기가 돈을 벌어서 자기가 결혼할 적에 돈 들어가는 비용, 또 유미 밑에는 남자 동생이 하나 있었는데 자기가 돈을 벌어갖고 자기 남자 동생 대학교 가는 그 자금도 보태겠다고 얘기를 하면서 그 간 곳이 그 삼성이었습니다.
Good for her, though. Like, I would really praise it if I ever get kids that, that they will try to get it by themselves. I did the same. I thought it's just much more meaningful when you do it by yourself.
삼성은 우리나라 대기업이기도 하고 월급
That's the word, conglomerate. That is completely the word. So the people who don't know what a conglomerate actually is, I want to say King Kong all the time, but a conglomerate is basically a company that doesn't just do one business. They basically are in everything, food, cars, buildings, and they basically own a lot. And Lotte also is one of those companies, and Hyundai is also one of those companies. They just do much more than just one thing, and that shows the power by itself.
상당히 많이 준다고 얘기를 했고 또 이 복지 시설도 잘 돼 있기 때문에 사람들이 그 유미가 삼성에 그 취업됐다고 하니까 다른 사람도
True.
축하해 준다고
They do pay really good though, not gonna lie.
좋아하는 말씀들을 다른 그 친구분들도 너무 많이 해 주셔가지고 저는 상당히 그 유미가 이 반도체 공장에 취업한 걸 가지고 자랑스럽게 생각을 했었습니다.
Like literally, that's the one thing I do hear about these companies. Again, I told you already that I lived in Frankfurt. The main reason why Frankfurt in Germany is a city, again, if you don't know that, but Frankfurt is basically a city which is a main hub for a lot of Korean businesses because you have the main international airport there, and there you more or less have all the European offices for all, like, LG, Hyundai, Kia, now Genesis. You have a lot of companies there from Korea, and it's so cool to a certain point, to see how this information is coming back again through this video. Really nice. But why is the girl not showing is my question.
The present. It is my pleasure to introduce the Galaxy Note 10.
Where was I during this time? I think I was working at Kia. No, I wasn't doing projects. At the first year, I was working at an agency, and we were doing both projects for Samsung and Kia. I do know that there were people, I don't know, but this is called a Samsung forum, if not mistaken. And here they just present some products to, all the companies, from Samsung within Europe or within the world. They all fly over and they meet over there. I really like this concept actually, that they come there to explain it. Explaining what the new technology is.
삼성의 브랜드 가치가 세계 2위를 유지한 것으로 나타났습니다. 돈으로 따지면 90조 원에 육박하는데요.
Jesus. 81 billion.
삼성은 자랑스러운 우리나라 기업입니다. 세계 무대에서 애플과 또는 일본 회사들과 또는 중국 회사들과 당당히 경쟁해서 이겨내는 자부감을 느끼는 회사고.
And at the same time, they are actually good products. Like the one thing that I know of Samsung, they really, really produce some really good products. So it explains, why they are so well known around the world. Like, to be honest, if Samsung wasn't creating good products, they wouldn't be where they are,
예를 들어 반도체에서는 사실상 이제 세계적으로도 거의 탑 수준에 와 있고.
What's with this location, by the way? Is he like taken hostage or something? Man, I love this show so far. It's really cool.
호텔 사업도 하고 물산,
See, construction, trading.
너무 다양하게 많기 때문에 영향력이 큰 건 너무나도 당연한 것 같고요.
Like literally, you will see the logo everywhere. Only like when I went to Korea, I was actually amazed by seeing the buildings. So where was I? I think I was in Gangnam, and when I was in Gangnam, the every second, third building would have a Samsung logo on it, whether big or small. But I didn't understand. Like I was thinking, were they all offices or not? But no, these are all subsidiaries, from Samsung, and that's why they have the logo. It's just amazing, to see how big this company is.
삼성을 생각해 보면 삼성의 계열
You see subsidiaries exactly. They are powerful.
20% 정도 된다라는 얘기를.
Jesus, 20% is a lot. I'm curious actually how much K-pop is responsible. Like I heard that BTS is one of the biggest. I mean, they are the biggest group, but they have a very important factor with the GDP as well with Korea. And I wonder how much it is. Like, let's say even if BTS was 1% of the GDP, for Korea, that will be a lot. Especially if you consider they're just young boys. Like that will be impressive. I'm curious about it.
조카가 아들이 삼성전자 입사한다고 하면 자랑스러워하는 자부감을 느끼게 만들어준 회사고.
I love the buildings in Seoul. Man, I want to go back there again. Like, It's so nice.
저는 서강대학교에 재학 중인 3학년 심영어입니다. 현재 취업을 준비하고 있습니다. 삼성, 현대, SK 3개 정도 수능 때도 서울대, 고대, 연대.
And of course, you have to imagine, you know, when you think about Samsung, it's not just like making the phones, it's literally any of the subsidiaries, or Hyundai, you know, Hyundai, Kia, Genesis, and all the other subsidiaries, because they also do much more than just, you know, like I say, just the one car. It's a lot of businesses.
지금도
That's why they can offer so
삼성,
many jobs.
현대, SK. 옆에서 봐도 공부하고 있고, 옆을 또 보면 공부하고 있고, 내 앞에도 공부하고, 뒤에도 공부하고. 대기업에 가고 싶다는 선택지인 거죠. 그 외는 전혀 없어요. 왜냐하면 우선 임금 격차가 많이 납니다. 거의 2배 가까이 나고,
Jesus.
복지 같은 경우도 차이가 많이 나고.
I heard this as well. Again, I just know it from my side because I used to work, you know, under Hyundai, let's say it like that. But you know, the pay and everything is good, and literally, it's much better than any other company that basically is in Frankfurt. But I'm just so curious to see how this is going to develop. Man, this is such a cool documentary.
주변에서의 시선.
I think Vice is literally the top-notch company, you know, to produce these documentaries. They are really just awesome. They meet the best people ever.
라고 해서 간 경우는 없고, 보통 대기업에 도전해서 실패하면 소리 소문 없이 가 있는 경우는 많이 봤습니다. 근데 연락은 안 돼요.
It's a little bit sad though.
그냥 일단은 보통 이제 입사가 그렇게 쉬운 일만은 아니거든요. 한국에서는 그 다른 국가, 미국이나 유럽이랑 다르게 수시 채용하는 게 아니라 기간을 정해놓고 1년에 뭐 한 번 내지는 2번
Wow. Really?
채용을 동시에 진행해요. 그래서 그런 뭐 적성 검사라든지.
Wow. Can you just imagine that, like once or twice a year, and then you have to compete with all those thousands of people? I mean, that is just, woo, that's crazy.
시험을 대비하기 위한 문제집도 있어요. 수능처럼 준비되기도 하고. 나는 뭐 삼성도 보고 LG도 보고 뭐.
Man, this is really just
보겠지만 유독
crazy.
지원자 숫자가 워낙 많기 때문에 삼성 고시라고들 많이 하더라고요.
Wow. Though this sounds and looks very scary, you know, 73% of all the fresh graduates in a given year, you know, they basically want to apply for all these companies. So in Korea, you're competing against all of them. You know, now that I've been working quite a lot over the last years, I just want to say that, and also, you know, looking for jobs, you can really see that this is crazy. Like, I think the competition is always crazy around the world, but 73%, like, you're the one out of the 500,000. Like, I don't know how many jobs are open. Like, I'll be curious to know how many jobs to actually give out of the 500,000. Maybe 1,000, 2,000. That could be really cool to know, actually. Very interesting to know.
My name is Sang-in Park, economics professor at Seoul National University. As a consequence of Jebel-centric economic development, Jebel-dominated Korean economy, democracy is now replaced by corporatocracy.
대규모 기업 집단, 즉 국가 경제에서 차지하는 비중이 아주 큰 기업 집단이고, 그리고 이 대규모 기업
Yeah, that's the crazy part now. They are really just owned by a single family.
세상 지배될 때 재벌이다 이렇게 부릅니다.
Wealth Group.
이 당시에 60년대, 70년대 한국에서 자본시장이 발달하지 못했어요. 그러니까 기업들은 자금을 가지고 와서 투자를 해야 되는데 신인도가 낮아서 외국에서 돈을 가져올 수 없었고, 이때 정부가 중간에 끼어들어서 차관으로 외자를 가지고 와서 기업들에게 나눠줬습니다. 1970년대 중화공업산업 중심으로 재벌들이
So it was the 1970s, you know, like I said, 40 years ago, so it's actually like 50 years ago when this happened.
당시에 정부는 각 재벌들에게 특정
You see specific industries to each of them. Like, that's what I think is just amazing about what I hear about these stories, working with them directly. These are really true points. Basically, the government was like, you take care of this, you take care of this, you take care of that, which is just mind-blowingly crazy, you know, to take this responsibility, but it worked.
LG는 전자,
Yeah, electronics was assigned to Samsung.
자동차.
You know, motor vehicles has put to Hyundai, but not only the motor vehicles, also the infrastructure, you know, to drive everywhere. Man, this is crazy.
신생재벌이라고 할 수 있는 재벌들이 더 빨리 성장을 하는 일까지 일어나게 됩니다. 이런 정부 주도 재벌 중심 발전 전략이 성공적이었습니다. 특히 한 30년 정도, 1960년에서 한 30년 정도 역사상.
And then all of a sudden there is this boom, no? Yeah. Like literally all of a sudden there was this snap with Korea, and I also heard that it was going to be around 2000 if not mistaken, but that was the moment where everything just ran crazy.
삼성, 현대차, SK, LG 이렇게가 4대 기업일 것 같은데요. 4대 재벌의 경제력 집중 그리고 자산 총액 규모 이런 것들이 최근 10년 사이에 많이 높아졌습니다.
4대 재벌 내지 5대 재벌이 사실 우리 이른바 재벌들의 반 정도를 차지한다 이렇게 볼 수가 있고요.
I wonder who the other companies actually are, because like I say, I know that, you know, you got LG, SK, Hyundai, now it's actually called Hyundai, not Hyundai Motors anymore, and Samsung. So I'm curious who the rest of the companies actually are.
이제 대한민국 경제의 뭔가 대들보인 것처럼 생각하는 사람들이 한편에서 많이 있어요. 법 위에 군림하고 있나, 무소불위의 권력, 경제 권력.
Well, they are a little bit untouchable, I guess.
인식하는 국민들.
I mean, they have a lot. You know, without them, what would be Korea? You know, like imagine, they, like I said, if they failed at everything, who would be them then? Like, who would be Samsung if they failed at building up their own country? But they didn't. They succeeded.
유미가 2003년 10월 달에 들어가서 일을 하다가 그 2005년 5월 한 말쯤 되었는데 그 유미가 엄마한테 전화가 왔어요. 체한 것 같이 속이 미식거리고 배 아프고 그러다가 전화가 와갖고 처음에는 유미가 이 음식 먹은 게 체해서 그런 줄 알고 약방에 가서 그 약을 사다 먹으라 그랬어요. 이제 유미하고 지 친구하고 이제 수원에 있는 병원을 가니까는 그 병원에서 그 바로 유미를 그 입원시켜 놓고 그 이제 나하고 유미 엄마를 오라고 그런 거예요. 의사 선생님이 그 나를 보고서는 복도도 잠깐 나오라고 얘기를 하더라고요. 그래서 내가 이제 복도를 이렇게 나갔어요. 그랬더니 그 의사 선생님이 하는 말씀이 유미는 급성 골수성 백혈병이라고 그랬어요.
Leukemia? Where did you pick that up? Or was she born with it? Can you be born with leukemia?
그러니까 나는 하늘이 아주 확 무너지는 느낌이 확 드는 거야 아주. 팔하고 다리가 힘이 쭉 빠지는 게 어떻게 할 수가 없는 거예요. 아주 가슴에 딱 무너지는 게 아주 먹먹한 게 어떻게 표현할 수 없을 정도로 이게 답답한 거예요. 그 1차 항암 치료를 이제 시작하니까 머리가 이제 쑥쑥 이렇게 다 빠지는 거예요. 그러니까 아직 막 우는 거야 이게 아주 머리가 쑥쑥 이렇게 다 빠지니까.
Okay. Poor her, though. Yeah, this was really, really crazy. Like what I heard at the moment when this happened, I don't remember when this happened, but I was at university and there's someone from aviation basically told me the story that there was a girl, she was like the daughter of the, you know, who owns the airline. And then basically because she got nuts in a bag, she went apeshit for it, you know, and her idea was to get everyone fired from the plane, you know, for the disrespect and everything. And she made sure that the plane, you know, came back to the airport. It was crazy.
사적 건의에 의해 예정된 경로로 운항 중인 항공기가 무리하게 항로를 변경하고 서버 경찰권이 있는 사무장이 운항 중인 항공기에서 퇴거됨으로써 항공기 운항의 안전이 위협받고
Yeah, that must be so embarrassing though, you know. This is actually the beauty of Seoul. If you go there, if you ever have the chance to go to Seoul, go there, because you have all that nice old architecture mixed with all those modern buildings. It's quite a picture to look at, and you create some beautiful images like this. It's just fantastic.
땅콩 모양이 재벌이 무엇인가에 대해서 잘 모르던 외국인들.
Yeah, it really just showed their powers like crazy.
권력을 인식시켜준 그런 사건 아닌가 봐요.
They even have a dedicated website.
기업의 갑질 문제가 그동안에 이런저런 상황에서 벌어지긴 했지만 실제로 오늘 일가족이 기소되거나 법정에 서게 된 것은 아마 드문 사례 중에 하나였습니다. 재벌은 무소불위의 권력을 가지고 있다. 누구도 자기를 건드릴 수 없다 하는 인식들이 널리 지금 보편적으로 자리 잡아 버린 거예요.
이미 재벌 총수 일가들은 어떤 범죄를 저질러도 감옥에 가지 않는다는 것이 상식화되고 있어요.
Yeah, it's like an internal mafia, even though they do everything correctly.
징역 3년에 집행유예 5년 뭐 이런 식으로.
What's up? Hyundai Motors tax evasion. Ooh. Samsung tax evasion. Okay. Okay, the nut thing with the airline. Oh wait, I actually misread that. So instead of getting prison, they all got basically out of prison, which is crazy. Yeah, probation.
거기에 대부분의 사유들이 국가 경제에 기여한 바가 크다. 이런 것들이 있기 때문에
사실은 그 우리나라의 재벌을
This is basically that the picture you see here. I even have a video that looks more or less the same. One second. This section here is you're basically taking that skyline into that Tower of Seoul, which is really beautiful. Again, I would only recommend it.
정부와 국민들이었는데 이제는 재벌들이 정부와 국민을 장악하고 법으로 통제하려고 하는 그런 역전된 시대가 된 것 같아요.
우리나라에서 가장 큰 이제 재벌 기업이잖아요, 삼성은. 그 가장 이제 밑바닥에서 일을 하게 되는 국민들은 상대적으로 더더 가난해지는. 근데 그 재벌들이 벌어들이는 것은 누군가의 희생을 통해서 이루어지고 있다는 사실이 확인되고 있는 거죠.
Very interesting though, before we go to the next part, I know that I heard a lot of negativity as well from people working at Samsung. Like they'll make sure that people really work their asses off nonstop and they don't care about it. And, you know, again, we have all these other companies as well, you know, we only don't have Samsung, you know, with phones, we also have all those other subsidiaries. But I heard that as well from people within Samsung also. People get treated like shit sometimes purely because they need to make sure that the targets are met, but targets are met in an unrealistic way. But this also might explain the peer pressure that they get, you know, like, again, we also have companies like SM Entertainment, for example. We know they have a lot of power. This might be the reason why they pressure, you know, the stars to do what they have to do, you know, to get where they have to go to. Really, really crazy, I think. But it explains, you know, the mentality. It explains that they are basically fearing for their jobs. They're fearing for losing their position. And basically, like he says, once you get to the bottom, you know, it's hard to get up again, you know?
몸이 언제부터 그랬던 거예요?
음식을 먹지를 못하니까 아주 얘가 아주 이렇게 아주 바짝 이렇게 손가락처럼 이렇게 마르는 거 아주 몸에 아주 바짝 마르는 거예요. 그래서 집을 딱 왔는데.
You know, deep inside, you know, this guy is going through some sort of pain, you know? He's smiling at the camera, but like I feel it somehow when every time he talks.
아무리 가만히 이렇게 생각을 해봐도 이게 상당히 아주 이게 의심이 가는 거야. 유미 병이 지금 왜 걸렸지 하는 그런 생각이 들어가는 거예요. 그 유미한테 거기서 그 회사에서 무슨 일을 했냐고 이렇게 물어보니까 이 반도체 그 웨이퍼 이게 동그란 그 웨이퍼를 화학약품에 담궜다가 뺐다가 또 다른 화학약품에 담궜다가 뺐다가 또 다른 화학약품에 뺐다가 담궜다 이런 걸 반복해서 일을 했다 그러는 거예요. 병원에 이제 한 며칠에 한 번씩 한 일주일에 한 번씩 오는 그 과장님이 있었는데 그 과장님한테 물어봤어요. 유미가 웨이퍼를 반도체를 화학약품을 쓰면서 담궜다 뺐다 하는 작업을 했다 그러는데 이러면
So she wasn't born with it. Maybe she got it from the chemicals. Could be.
산업재해로 인정해 주면은 안 되냐고 그랬어요.
Like, why would her manager go to the hospital, you know?
보험을 적용을 해달라 그랬어요. 그 과장이 나를 보고서는 아니 아버님이 이 큰 회사 삼성을 상대로 해서 이기려고 그러십니까? 그런 거예요.
Man, that would make me so sad though if a company goes like that, you know?
그 당시에 뭐 황유미 씨 아버지에게는 처음에는 이제 회유를 하는 거죠. 뭐 아버지 집에 찾아가서 뭐 금전적 보상을 얘기하고 더 이상 문제를 키우지 말기를 원하니까.
그 치료비 들어간 돈이 하고 그 경비하고 쓴 돈이 한 5천 한 몇백만 원
Jesus.
한 5천 한 500만 원 이렇게 들어가.
Imagine they just come with like, here's 55.
수표 5장을 가지고 왔어요. 그 회사가 돈이 없어서 이것뿐이 못 가져왔으니까 이거 받고 끝내자라는 거예요.
Oh, wait, what? Samsung said they don't have it?
그래서 삼성에 돈이 없으니까 이거만 받고 끝내라는 그러니까 나는 이게 속았다는 느낌이 이제 확 들어가는 거예요 이제.
제일 흔한 건 돈으로 이 경제적으로 지금 굉장히 치료비에 허덕이는 가족들을 이제 괴롭히는 거예요. 이
Let me add to this. This could also be the reason why they pay more, because they basically get a grip on the people, you know? It's like the money is more or less the chain around their necks. I sometimes felt that as well, you know, working at these companies, that the payment that they gave out, you know, it's just a reason to stay there, but they know they will not get it anywhere else. I heard this as well from Samsung, that this is the reason why they pay good, but at sometimes, you know, people still cut the change. You know, they're like, you know, fuck this. You know, in Germany that's possible, but I can imagine how difficult that is in a company, or sorry, in a country like Korea.
여성 노동자 2명이 일하다 둘 다 백혈병에 걸려 사망을 했다. 이거는 이제 그냥 우연의 일치일 수 없다. 사실 말도 안 됐어요. 보호구도 제대로 없었고 기본 안전 장치 없이 커버도 없었어요. 노동자들의 죽음이 좀 반복되는 상황이 재현되니까 삼성에서는
What is with these dedicated locations? So, like, where are they filming? Like, I love them. Don't get me wrong. They really are cool. They really give me that Vice feeling, but it's awesome. But where do they find that?
워낙 많고 그 중에 아주 소수만이 걸릴 뿐이며 일반인보다 훨씬 적게 걸린다는 식으로 사실상 거짓말을 했었었죠. 한국 사회에서 삼성을 상대로 해서 무언가를 진실을 파헤치거나 삼성을 상대로 싸운다는 것 자체가 사실은 이 삼성공화국이라고 불리우는 한국 사회에서 거의 불가능에 가까운 일이라고 보통 사람들이 생각하는 그런 것이기 때문에
다른 기업과 다르게 삼성이 좀 다르다라고 할 수 있는 건 되게 국가 경제에서 차지하는 기여하는 바가 매우 큰데.
To bring it a little bit back though to K-pop, I forgot where, but I was wondering why, you know, BTS, some of them still have to go to the army, but they're really delaying it. Are they delaying it, or are they basically finding a reason for them not to go to the army purely because they have such an important role within the Korean economics as well?
사업, 반도체 사업이 커지면서 97년 외환위기 이후에는 삼성이 거의 독주를 하는 그런 구조로 지금 가고 있습니다.
엄청난 자본을 갖고 있잖아요. 이 자본을 가지고 정치적으로나 사회적으로 또는 이제 그 언론에 대해서 미치는 영향력이 엄청나다고 볼 수 있죠.
사회적, 정치적 의사결정이 자신들에게 유리하게 만드는 그런 역할을 한다.
그동안 관대했다라고 봐야죠. 재벌에 대해서 우리 국가나 사법부가 관대했었고 특히 삼성에 대해서는 더 관대했던 것이 아니냐.
즉 경제 권력이 된다. 민주적인 통제에서 벗어난 경제 권력에 대해서 국가 의사 결정에 심대한 왜곡을 가져오는 그런 문제가 있겠습니다.
It's just for me still so crazy, you know, that you have families like this that are just hidden away. You're like, you don't even know their faces. Like, I have seen a couple of their faces, yeah, but you know, I was talking to, who was it? I think it was my brother, or someone. No, it wasn't my brother. It was someone from Japan. And I was just saying to myself, you know, in Japan, for example, you have these bars and people go to these bars to spend a lot of money. We're talking about thousands, you know, in a night. And I'm just thinking, man, these people are loaded. And then this person came to me and he says, man, these are not even the rich people. You also have the super, super rich, you know, in Japan. And it's, I think in every country you have this hidden branch of people that are just superpowers, basically, you know, in their country. And it's just fascinating to see or to think about it, that, you know, these are basically like Batman, you know, it's more like a superhero that you barely see, but you know it's there. It's really scary to a certain point, but I'm really curious if it's possible to find them in some other way, you know, besides not working for them. Or in other words, you have to work for them to see them, but is there any other way to see them? I also know that in Seoul, you have a lot of, you know, these places where a lot of these rich men and families go to eat and drink. Again, it's really hard to enter there. You can find them on Google, but then you see that, you know, even to be there, the charge to be there is super expensive. I remember going to a bar, really, really crazy, but I paid for 2 cocktails $100, like $50 a cocktail. The reason why they do it is so that the average person cannot go to these bars. And when I was sitting at this bar, I really realized that the people were not just the average, you know, person in the street. They were not the average, you know, person working in the office. These were really the elite of the city, because paying $50 for a cocktail that costs maybe €10 somewhere else is already an extreme. And I'm not even saying €50 is a lot or $50 is a lot. It is for a cocktail, but the point is that this is how the country is built up, and that's fair, you know, that's how they want to do it.
그 부장하고 과장들 한 3명하고 이렇게 해서 승용차로 한 대씩 이제 여기 내려와요. 나보고서는 유미가 병 걸린 거는 개인적인 질병이고 회사하고는 삼성하고는 아무런 관련도 없는데 삼성에다 왜 바가지를 씌우냐 그러나 그래. 유미에 대한 한마디도 안 물어봐요.
It's also another point I noticed with HR, for example. The Korean way is really that unless it's business related, it's none of their concerns. You can go about them to say about anything, but they don't care too much about it. They will neglect it. It's a very interesting way of seeing how they do business compared to any other business. In a German normal company, let's say you work for any company within Germany, I noticed that HR is really just focused on making sure that the people are okay. It's not always the case, but the moment that I see Koreans talk about HR, it's very distant from the human emotions. It's quite interesting to witness it actually.
그 아침에 일찌감치 이제 유미 그 병원 치료 받으라고 여기서 이제 새벽에 한 4시 반쯤 되면 여기서 출발해요. 유미가 이렇게 뒤에서 이렇게 들어놓여 있다가는 더워 그러는 거예요. 그 뒤를 이렇게 돌아다 보니까 땀을 아주 뻘뻘 흘리고 있는 거예요. 유미 엄마가 옆에 앉았다가 이렇게 뒤를 이렇게 돌아다 보니 얘가 왜 이래 그러는 거예요. 그래 고속도로에서 나 뒤를 이렇게 돌아다보세요. 이렇게 돌아보니까 그 사이에 벌써 숨이 다 이렇게 넘어가고 눈은 벌써 이렇게 치뜨는 거 보세요. 그래서 고속도로 옆에다 차를 이렇게 세워놓고 그다음에 난 차에서 내리고 유미 엄마도 내려가고 뒷문을 열으니까 벌써 그 사이에 숨이 벌써 다 넘어간 거예요.
Sad. Sad. Then again, you know, it's not only Korea related. I know of enough companies, also American companies, where they just don't care too much about your health or whatever happens. You know, I know I just said it that it's unique with Koreans, and it's true. It's a very unique experience. Like the only way that you can feel it is by witnessing, which I did. But at the end of the day, a lot of people just don't even care about your health. Like even in Germany, it's considered a taboo, you know, to go sick, even though you're literally dying. I remember when I was, you know, getting my vaccine, and for Corona, and I felt bad 2 hours afterwards. Like I got a headache. I felt feverish. They were looking at me and said, oh, you're such a pussy. You're so weak. But it's literally the way companies are. I really wish that companies with HR actually have a human emotion to them. If I ever had a company, I would literally not hire people unless they understand the human connection. I don't want them to only understand a figure to say how many people have to be in work today for the companies to work. I want them to understand actually about humans as well, that at the end of the day, we're not machines. We actually do or can get hurt, throughout the way. And in this case, it's actually the extreme that someone was feeling bad and they actually passed away. Like, this is actually upsetting.
싸워야 되겠다는 생각이 들어가는데 내가 뭐 어떻게 싸워야 되는지, 말을 어떻게 해야 되는지, 뭐 누가 그 나를 아는 사람도 하나도.
What actually sucks the most is that for him, a company, I think it was Samsung, no? She worked for it. And no matter what, he cannot avoid not buying anything from them. Like,
캄캄한 거야. 어떻게 해야 될지 모르겠는 거야. 그래서 내가 유미하고 그때
it's just sad.
원인 내가 꼭 밝힌다고.
Yet you have to face the company every day, that killed your daughter, more or less.
삼성과 이미 짬짬이가 되어 있는 정부기관과 싸운다. 노동부 산하 근로복지공단, 그리고 경찰 이런 곳들과 싸운다는 그런 느낌이 강했고 그런 경험들이 많이 있었는데
그냥 받아주시면 되는 문제 아니에요. 사람 수가
세 명이더라 다섯 명이더라 뭐가 문제야 근데. 노동자 병들게 한 사람 사업장 반드시 처벌받아야 합니다.
김정민님을 기억하라.
기억하라.
1987년에 태어난
황상기 아버님이 처음에 이제 근로복지공단에 산재 신청 서류를 접수를 했었는데 이제 아버님이 주장한 거는 내 딸이 삼성 공장에서 화학물질을 다루는 일을 했다라고 했는데 삼성에서 제출한 자료는 스티커 라벨 붙이는 작업을 했다는 식으로 주장을 했대요.
그래서 내가 그거 아니라고, 그거는 삼성에서 서류를 거짓으로 꾸며서 그렇게 올렸고 유미는 끝까지 처음서부터 여기서 일을 다 했다고 얘기를 하니까 이 차장이 날 이 책상을 손바닥에 다 이렇게 치는 거예요. 삼성 이렇게 큰 회사에서 백혈병에서 사람 몇 사람 죽었다고 해서 서류를 거짓으로 꾸며서 이렇게 올릴 것 같습니까?
Man, this is really crazy. Again, I can only talk about it from my own perspective, dealing with these type of people, but it really seems that they really just want to not be faced with issues. They tend to try to be a step ahead and just say it never happened or it did happen and twist words. There were enough occasions where it's sad though, but when I worked, people have twisted my words and they were from a Korean background for no apparent reason. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why people do it, but they do it for their own benefit. And again, it's all about that idea of power. And it doesn't even have to be a company such as Samsung. But when I was working at these agencies, like I said, our company was working for these big companies, okay? Samsung, LG, Hyundai, and everything. The point is that even the people within the higher up position, aka managers, directors, they more or less would also get this gaunt complex where people would tend to bend the truth for their own benefit to them, so they don't even care about who's working with them. And I've had this already a couple of times, and I was really just confused to why this happened. But this video really just opens that up for me. It's quite shocking. This actually explains a lot to me that it wasn't just within this company. I thought this company was a little bit ill like this, but it seems really as if this is something that happens quite easily in Korea. You always, let's say it like this, you will look upwards to your boss and you basically try to, you play with them a little bit, try to get in their good hands, and do what you can with other people to make sure both of you are off on a better end. Quite sickening to a certain point. Again, I don't understand why people can be so unhuman about it.
저도 언론인으로서 되게 부끄러운 얘기긴 한데 우리나라 언론사가 기업의 광고 없이는 생존을 못 하는데 최대의 광고주는 삼성이니까 삼성이 바라는 대로 기사를 쓸 수밖에 없겠죠.
In Europe, it's a little bit different though. We really let the people here. Like literally, we let the people, when I was working at Kia, we let the people, whoever the people are writing, for the news articles, we let them write what they want to write. So that's at least something that's good about the European side of business here.
더 충격적이었던 자기네 회사 앞에서 사옥 앞에서 아마 1인 시위를 오래 했던 사람들의 명단을 이렇게 좀 만들어놔요. 뭐 저기에 있는 저런 지명수배 명단 같은 그 지명수배 명단 같은 그 양식이 똑같은 양식인데 거기 제일 윗줄에 뭐라고 써있냐면 우수 고객 명단이라고 써있어요. 그러니까 피해자들을 조롱하는 거죠.
Jesus.
딸을
That's so sad though.
그냥 그 앞에서 시위를 했다는 이유로 우수 고객이다 이렇게 조롱을 하는 걸 보면서 와 이거는 예의를 넘어서 예의와 윤리의 문제가 있는 게 아닌가.
Hold up, you think there's something wrong? There is literally something fucked up here. You cannot say that that is normal behavior. You know, you're a company that should actually be more or less an image, you know, to look up for, especially if you're so big within, you know, Korea. But if you start mocking, oh, fuck. Yeah.
유음이 화장을 해갖고 유골을 뿌리려고 여기를 올라왔습니다. 여기를 올라왔는데 그 올라올 적에 유음이 친구하고 내 친구 또 유음이 회사에서 일하던.
But here it says Yumi's work. So why did they not come to, or maybe they were scared to lose their jobs? Man, they could have basically been the witnesses to say, no, she actually worked there, you know?
여기에 그 사람들이 한 40-50명이 이렇게 쭉 그 줄을 지어 서 있었어요. 그 유골을 뿌리는데 내가 아주 너무 억울해갖고 아주 눈에서 아주 눈물이 지금 막 내려 흘렀었어요. 그래서 그 유골을 뿌리면서 우리 그 유미 엄마랑 유미 누나랑 유미 동생이랑 같이 이제 유골을 자꾸 이렇게 쭉 뿌렸어요. 쭉 이제 여기 이제 가면서 이쪽으로 이렇게 쭉 뿌려서 이 앞으로 이렇게 왔는데 아주 그 사람들을 보는 순간에 아주 너무 억울해갖고 아주 눈물이 아주 막 내려 흐르는 거예요. 얼마나 화가 나죠.
You can literally see he's about to tear up, you know, but he's holding it back. What a strong guy. You know, full of pride.
얼굴에다 확 뿌리고 싶었는데 그 사람들이 먼저 눈치채고 뒷걸음질 슬금슬금 하면서 벌써 저 줄에 이렇게 나가더라고요. 그래서 그 당시 나를 누가 조금이라도 좀 도와주는 사람이 있었으면 그 사람들 얼굴에다 확 이게 유골을 뿌리고 싶었는데 그때는 저 혼자라서 너무 자신도 없고 용기도 없고 그래서 차마 그 유골을 가지고 그 사람들 얼굴에 뿌리지를 못했는데 지금 와서 생각하면 그 사람들한테 얼굴에다가 유골을 뿌리지 못한 게 아주 한스러워 죽겠어요. 아주 너무 억울해가지고.
You see, like, that was exactly it. Again, I'm not trying to say that I watched this video and I didn't, but it's true what he says, you know, why did they not step up against it if they worked with her, if they had all the proof? I can understand his frustration. He was literally, even though there were people there, he was alone. Jesus, the cameras. The moment he, you know, a tear come. So what happened? Did they get compensation? Did they close down the factory? Jesus, but you know what the sad thing is? And this 11-year thing, you know, 11, let's say 12 years now. It took them 12 years to resolve these issues, meaning they were neglecting it and hoping that it would just wash away. I fucking hate that. Fuck that. You know? But what happened though? I want to know. I'm trying to hold back my tears actually. That was actually a little bit sentimental. And I barely cry, okay? That was, I could feel it. But what happened? Man, I miss Korea.
90%는 99%는 자기의 삶의 주인으로서 자유롭지 않다는 거죠.
By the way, did you ever notice that none of their faces were shown yet of the people who are the big guys?
경계력 집중이라는 것이
That's one thing that we have to point out here, okay?
기본적인 도전이다라고 볼 수가 있다는 것이죠.
아마존이든 뭐 삼성이든 또는 뭐 페이스북이든 사실은 이제 그 모든 것들을 자기 중심적으로 그 자원을 결국 독점하게 만드는 구조를 만들었어요.
And it's a big danger as well. You know, when companies start making monopolies, it's so dangerous. Like when they start making structures, that were basically a fundamental idea that they can control people with, it's really scary. I'm happy though with Facebook. There seems like there is going to be a decline, but I cannot imagine it with a company such as, you know, Hyundai, Samsung, or anything that's quite as big, because it's not this you're taking away a car industry, you're taking away an entire structure, you know, where a country is based on. So who's going to take that over? Who has the idea to take this over? How do you take this over? No one can do it. Like, they're the only key. It's going to be a long struggle before they can solve it.
한편으로는 자랑스러워하지만 한편으로는 이렇게 탈법을 저질렀는데 불법, 편법을 저지르는데 한 번도
Beautiful buildings though.
때문에 사회 정의를 깨트린 거에 대한 분노, 증오.
근데 그거를 어떻게 바꿀 수 있을 거냐는 또 다른 문제잖아요. 근데 약간 뭐 무기력함이라고 해야 되나? 뭐 이런 게 있을 것 같아요. 그러니까 이제 이 사람들이 잘못한 거는 너무 많은데 그냥 뭐 한국을 먹여 살리는 기업이라는 이미지도 너무 강해서.
It's true. They are the breadwinner, you know, for Korea, and it's super strong. You know, no matter, like I say, you go there, it's right in your face. You know, the moment you get off that airplane, who the leaders are of the country, in the sense of what companies own it.
무기력함이 좀 있지 않을까라는 생각이 들기도 합니다.
저는 이제 택시 운전을 하면서 손님을 이렇게 태우니까 어떤 때는 유미 친구들이 탈 때도 있어요. 결혼을 해갖고 전부 다 애기 하나씩 데리고 타고 둘씩 데리고 타고 어떤 때는 신랑하고 같이 타기도 하고 그렇게 하면 이제 그런 생각이 나죠. 우리 유미도 살아있으면은 지금 결혼해갖고 그 애기를 하나나 둘씩 이렇게 데리고 다닐 텐데 하는 유미 생각이 그렇게 나기도 하죠.
This is really upsetting to a certain point. Oh, here we actually go. In 2018, Samsung apologized to the victim's family, paying out 11.6 million in compensation. In the same year, Samsung posted. This is what I think is just fucking crazy. You know, 11.6 million compared to the 53 billion that they made in profits. Fuck that. Wait, its own independent review committee said it's paid out compensation to 90%, no, 92% of the victims' families. Oh wait, are these all different? Brain tumor. So they all got cancer. Lymphoma. Jesus fuck. You know, that is you know, I always had this idea like this is somehow tearing me up, but when you work at these companies, you know there is something happening there, you know, where people are actually, you know, sitting in an office is one thing, but I'm really curious how it is to be in those factories. I'm really interested to see how the system works there. I know, for example, that Hyundai and Kia has some factories here in Europe, but you know, I always thought to myself, not everyone can be earning a lot of money. And it's true, you earn a lot of money in the offices, but how much do you actually earn in the factories? I'm really curious about that. And, you know, this video makes me think like, Jesus, even though everything looks good from the outside, especially from the PR point of view, you know, public relations, but when it comes to reality, it's quite sickening. You know, like, at what cost, you know, is the question. These people will never go into any type of talks. Literally, I remember, and this is also the end of the documentary. But I remember when I was going to, like I say, there was the vice president, not the vice president, the president, aka the biggest guy from the company from Kia, came in, And it's just crazy to see, you know, what happens within the company. These people you don't even see. You won't even notice that they come in the building. They're like ghosts, like no fucking joke. They're literally like fucking ghosts that come out of nowhere, and there they are. It's such a surreal way, because normally, you know, when someone at that status, you know, there will be an announcement, a little bit of a drive-in, and then they come in, and then, you know, a little bit of that. But it seems as if they can do what they want. And and I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that they are always unexpected, and they have this idea as if they don't need to do it. However, I do want to say, I can only speak for Kia, okay, is that the people that work here are actually quite nice, especially for the European officers. They're top notch. You know that there's a lot of release, you know, that the Europeans can do what they want on their own market, which I think is great. But when it comes to the guy, you know, the owner, he basically came, he stand in the queue to get his lunch with the other people. It was actually quite normal. And, you know, to see the person, you would think that he's the normal person, you know, but at the same time, you know that something is up with him, you know, like, you know that he's basically someone who's untouchable. And the moment that he came through the building, you know, people were really as if like Jesus and God, maybe both of them actually just came into the office. This is just a mind-boggling video, and you know, this just opened up my mind completely. Like, it scares me to a certain point that things like this happen. Like, I'm happy that I watched this video. I don't know if this video was any interest to any of you guys, but again, I like to learn about companies. I like to learn about, you know, different cultures, and this really gave me a good insight to how something perfect really is not really as perfect as it seems, you know. So I'm very happy that I watched this. I don't know about you guys, but I just want to say, for everyone who was there, thank you very much for watching with me, and I hope you enjoyed this reaction. I tried to, like I say, I don't want to edit it. It's just my real reaction. I wanted to watch it with you rather than alone, and if you did enjoy, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you subscribed, and actually, I'm going to close off this video a little bit sad, because I feel a little bit disappointed. You know, I've always been told that these companies are top-notch. Everything is great, but it shows that there is just so many things that have gone wrong, you know, as well. And it upsets me, you know, to think like I was so happy. I need to open up my mind even more. I tend to always be like a devil's advocate to think about both the negatives and the positives, but here I can clearly see that there's a lot more negatives that were just hidden. And of course, we need to, of course, say as well, is all of this true or not? Most likely, you know, the evidence that I collected over the years and things that were said here, I mentioned things before they were said in this video. It seems like it's correct, you know. So all I can say is have an open mind, you know. Don't always think that a company is 100% legit, you know. Keep it happy, keep it optimistic, I would say. But for now, guys, I just want to say thank you very much. And like I say, if you did enjoy, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you're part of the channel. I feel a little bit, you know, my mind is a little bit melting. I think I need to take a shower now because I feel a bit upset. But I'll see you then. Jesus Christ. And like I say, be subscribed, like the channel, do whatever you want. You don't even have to. Like, this is quite a sad video. Like, forget everything I just said, okay? Have a good one. See you in the next video, guys.